All right, everybody. Hey, guess what? It is currently Sunday, January 20th, 2019. You are listening to Education with Ed. Ed's being a little bit slow tonight, but that's all right. What we'll do is give him a few minutes, and if he hasn't showed up, we can open the floor, see what anybody's got to say real quick. And then after that, we'll shut off the show and let Ed get his rest if that's what he's doing at the moment. So, what we're going to do is going to listen to an old edited speech by Ronald Reagan. And with that, here it is.
Stop to think how unique we really are. In the eyes of many in the world, this every 4-year ceremony we accept as normal is nothing less than a miracle. Mr. President, I want our fellow citizens to know how much you did to carry on this tradition. By your gracious cooperation in the transition process, you have shown a watching world that we are a united people pledged to maintaining a political system which guarantees individual liberty to a greater degree than any other. And I thank you and your people for all your help in maintaining the continuity which is the bulwark of our republic. From time to time, we've been tempted to believe that society has become too complex to be managed by self-rule, that government by an elite group is superior to government for, by, and of the people. Well, if no one among us is capable of governing himself, then who among us has the capacity to govern someone else? So as we begin, let us take inventory. We are a nation that has a government, not the other way around. And this makes us special among the nations of the earth. Our government has no power except that granted it by the people. It is time to check and reverse the growth of government, which shows signs of having grown beyond the consent of the governed. It is my intention to curb the size and influence of the federal establishment and to demand recognition of the distinction between the powers granted to the federal government and those reserved to the states or to the people. All of us need to be reminded that the federal government did not create the states. The states created the federal government. Now, so there will be no misunderstanding, it's not my intention to do away with government. It is rather to make it work with us, not over us, to stand by our side, not ride on our back. Government can and must provide opportunity, not smother it, foster productivity, not stifle it. If we look to the answer as to why for so many years we achieved so much, prospered as no other people on earth, it was because here in this land we unleashed the energy and individual genius of man to a greater extent than has ever been done before. Freedom and the dignity of the individual have been more available and assured here than in any other place on earth. The price for this freedom at times has been high, but we have never been unwilling to pay that price. It is no coincidence that our present troubles parallel and are proportionate to the intervention and intrusion in our lives that result from unnecessary and excessive growth of government. It is time for us to realize that we're too great a nation to limit ourselves to small dreams. We're not, as some would have us believe, doomed to an inevitable decline. I do not believe in a fate that will fall on us no matter what we do. I do believe in a fate that will fall on us if we do nothing. So with all the creative energy at our command, let us begin an era of national renewal. Let us renew our determination, our courage, and our strength. And let us renew our faith and our hope. We have every right to dream heroic dreams. Those who say that we're in a time when there are no heroes, they just don't know where to look. On the eve of our struggle for independence, a man who might have been one of the greatest among the founding fathers, Dr. Joseph Warren, president of the Massachusetts Congress, said to his fellow Americans, "Our country is in danger, but not to be despaired of. On you depend the fortunes of America. You are to decide the important question upon which rests the happiness and the liberty of millions yet unborn. Act worthy of yourselves."
All right, well, it looks like we've got an unexpected guest showing up. Ed, are you there?
Yes, I definitely am here. I'm glad that everybody else is, and we thank you for showing up. And a good introduction, because that's sort of what I'm going to be getting into tonight, especially like with opiates, the lies. I mean, if you claim you're a drug addict, then quit whining. You know, I mean, I'm doing this. I'm writing a letter to the company on this, on the opiates. Because it's bullshit, goddammit. When are we going to start being responsible? It's your responsibility. If you don't know when you're taking drugs and these medications the doctor gives you, you quit whining. Quit acting like a little child, a little baby girl, a little baby boy. Because it's so disturbing that all these people go, well, I didn't know that I was going to have this effect. And it's like, get off your damn ass, do the research, read it. When a doctor tells you to read the medication, read it. You know, I mean, I've been having some conversations with people, and people are trying to get me to have this compassion, you know, of religion. Sorry, it ain't going to happen. Because if you're not responsible, that's the problem. The Constitution gave us responsibility. If there's no injured party or if there's no property damage, there's no claim. End of story. So let's start being adults. When are we going to start being adults instead of acting like little children? You know, that's the one thing that, you know, a lot of us grew up in the 60s and 70s. We climbed trees. We fell out of trees. We drank out of a garden hose. Today, if it ain't bottled water, you know, you're not supposed to drink it. And most bottled water is worse. It has all the other chemicals in it. And not only besides fluoride is rat poison. Literally rat poison. So it's not there to protect you. So when are people going to stop lying to not only their children, but themselves? See, this is the biggest problem we really have in this country, is that people lie to themselves. All right, so this opiate crisis that is going on, and I'm dealing with it. I've been in and out of the hospital for the last several months. Literally, I'm on pain medication and, you know, fighting with them and arguing with them on different things, you know, with it. I have been, and then all of a sudden we got over the hurdle. You know, this is called personal responsibility and liability. So you can't sit there and whine, cry, and blame somebody else for your defects or your defaults. You know, I mean, it really frustrates me when, you know, I see these people going, oh, well, we need to sue this company or we need to do that. And I mean, you know, it's like even Facebook. Everybody's going, we need to sue them because they're erasing stuff. Well, file with Facebook so they don't erase your stuff. I have. You know, I mean, I've had a couple things on our community that says, oh, well, we don't like it. And then I respond back and they put it back. You know, this is the one thing that it's our responsibility, your responsibility to do this. So when people sitting there whining and crying and doing all this other crap that, you know, we're living this crap, and people want you to have their emotions and everything for their crap, it's like, when are we going to be adults? So, I mean, that's the frustration we all live. And the frustration is that, you know, we're supposed to be responsible. When are people going to be responsible? And that's my point, the responsibility of things. You know, so, I mean, that's the major problem that we have is people are not responsible for their actions. So without that, that's the screw-up we have today. And so if people ain't going to be responsible, you can't blame somebody else for your actions. That's like I deal with, and some people on this conversation and others we know have dealt with people who have had their kids taken and kidnapped and held for ransom, but then they want to go, no offense, they want to go pray to God. God ain't going to do a thing for you. Okay? It's called men and women, people standing up, reading the stuff, learning how to protect your family. Okay? That's the one thing that it's called personal responsibility and liability. So when are people going to be responsible? That's the big key. That's one of the big keys on the discussion tonight. It's called responsibility. I deal with it. I talk to medical personnel all the time. I talk to a lot of people, including with the structure dealing with the birth certificate and bond insurance. These men and women know it, but they're making a living on the structure, just like you and I have made a living on some of the structure. So that's the point, that we've got to be realistic and be honorable. And so a lot of stuff is not honorable today, and that's the frustration that we have today with each other on these circumstances. I really get tired of these people that, even with the shootings that are supposedly going on today, it really disturbs me when I see this crap, because I grew up in a neighborhood that, in the time where everybody had a shotgun or 22 or 30 in the back window. Most kids used to pack a 25 was a standard going around that. And I grew up in San Francisco, and I grew up in Oregon. So it doesn't change. That's the point. But with all these games and all the structure that's going on and excuses that people are allowed to get away with, yes, excuses. That is the problem we have today. So, like I said, until we stop whining, these opiates, they're killing people. Well, then it's your fault. Quit taking them. Cut them in half, cut them in thirds. Learn what your body can handle. That's your responsibility. And so, and I'm watching these other talk shows today. Everybody's going on the government shutdown. Yeah, the government should be shut down. And the people that are mainly whining is the immigrants, because they're not getting paid. But they're not going to tell you the truth on it. They're going to lie to you, especially the Democrats. But they're lying. So when are you going to stop listening to the lies? And that's the point. That's the real point here. Because when we start standing up to our children, and I want to get into a couple other things too on some bills here, because they're trying to pass some bills in Oregon that are going to destroy your right to your children. One of them is to, come in your house without a warrant, so that way they get your home and say, oh, well, we have to check your child out. We have to see if your parents, you're acceptable parents for your child. And we've been talking about this for 20 years. And I told people this was going to come up, and all these people go, oh, no, that ain't going to happen. And it just shows me how mentally retarded these men and women are. Yes, they are mentally retarded. Because, the thing is, rational men and women wouldn't do that. And they want to use it as an excuse. I'm sorry, I'm not going to, to say other fluff words, because we got to stop doing this crap. We've been taught all these fluff words, for the last 20 years by the Dems and these corporations so they can make a living off it. And we're the ones paying the penalties for this. And so the point is when are we going to stop paying the penalties? When are we going to grow up? When are we going to be adults? And that's the main point with the structure tonight, is talking about who is an adult, who is going to be an adult. Where is the responsibility going to start? It's so crazy when you sit back and you watch the stuff that's going on in the news media, and it's shock treatment, because everybody reacts. They don't think. The average man and woman does not think. They just react. And that's the reality. And we're living that right now today. And so it's not changing. I'm watching this, with people reacting on different things on the internet, Facebook, other stuff on the TV, since I've been, in and out of the hospital here watching the boob tube. And it's horrifying when you think about this crap, because people are getting away with this stuff, and you're watching this stuff where people are getting away with, the child abuse, and now they're starting to speak out on it. And then you got people out there going, oh, you shouldn't. And it's like, folks, if you read the Bible, it even says you could have relations with children in the Bible. That's the thing that gets to me. Oh, we're going to sit there and be realistic. We're going to be a religion. But if you're going to do that, how come you're not reading what it says? Quit interpreting. You're not a lawyer. Lawyers interpret to rape, rob, and pillage. That's their job, rape, rob, and pillage. So once we stop doing the rape, robbing, and pillaging, oh my God, we could actually have some things that children can be proud of. And see, this is our responsibility to do this. So when people sit there and they whine and cry over, oh, my mother, my brother, my sister, they died, or they were drug addicts. They chose it. They accepted it. That's what they want. Because the first time anybody did alcohol was a happy time. First time you ever did whatever drug, it was a happy time. So, and that's the reality. Everybody's, done something in their life, and it was always a happy time. And then all of a sudden, everybody wants to turn it into a negative. Well, it's like, that's the point where I say, it's time to grow up. Because you're turning it into a negative for what purpose? And that is to justify some negative action. So when are people going to stop being justified in negative actions? So, I mean, that's the one thing, everybody wants to talk about the opioid crisis. There is no crisis. It's made up for tax purposes. I've been a lobbyist up at the Oregon State House and Senate. I know what the truth is compared to the fantasy that the average man and woman is dictated to. So, I mean, if you want to believe the crap because they're making a living off it, it's like religion, churches, they're a nonprofit agency. And that goes to the birth certificate bond insurance. Yes, your birth certificate is an insurance bond. And I've talked to people that says, oh, no, it doesn't work that way. Well, oh, yes, it does, because just because you're not educated, or even because you're educated and because you make a living off of that, and that's the one thing when you do talk to men and women, you have to look at their job employment. You have to look what they do. You have to look at their income services. And when they're making a living off of this, this tells you what's going on. So when it comes down to it, who's telling the truth? That's the major thing. Who is telling the truth? How is this and that helping? How is this and that working for you? How is it sitting there for you developing your strength, your future, your thoughts? And remember, all this stuff is about you. You can't whine and cry. I mean, we all been through things in life. But when I watch the stuff that's going on with these so-called crises, and the other point is, like, I'm watching these things with the recent shootout that just happened. And it's like, where are the arms? How come these people are not armed? How come they're not defending their family? See, that's the thing that gets to me. If everybody carried arms, we wouldn't have the problems we have today. And that's the point, because in the Western days, oh, shit, way back in the Western days, there were so few killings. Because, everybody packed an arm, sidearm, but they're afraid of getting shot, getting murdered, and that is a fact. So people got to live in the real truth, the real facts, the real structure of life, not the fantasy of no offense to religious people. You have the right under the Constitution, but that right is limited. Yes, that right is limited under the Constitution. That means you're not going to be on a street corner yelling and screaming this stuff out. That means you have to sit there and talk about it respectfully. And that's the one thing we don't have, respectful conversations anymore. We don't have people that are teaching this stuff. The schools are nothing but a failure. I mean, it really always gets to me how all these people praise the school district, and they're a failure. They're 100% failure. The teachers are not a failure. They are nothing more than babysitters. And that's it. That's all they are, is babysitters. So until we start looking at the truth here and accepting it, with the opiates. And like the 17th Amendment is a good one there too. The 17th Amendment says, oh, I have the right to vote. Who are you voting for? What is a vote? What is a vote? Think about it. What is a vote? How does a vote affect you? See, and that's the one thing that when you vote, you having people pay attention when people vote and all of a sudden their vote don't count. See, this is the one thing that people have got to look at the real truth here, not the fantasy that most people are contrived in what they're living. And we are contriving a lot of stuff. We are living a bunch of fantasy. We are living a bunch of lies. But see, people portray those lies. They're the ones living the lies. They're the ones bringing those lies forward for others to participate. It's like the other thing with money. I'm in the structure with the state of Oregon. Every state, the state law says that the elected and public employees are supposed to be paid in gold and silver. That's it. And then it's supposed to go back to the Postal Service. So when you get your pay, it goes back to the military structure. You had to go to the Postal Service to get your pay, and that was always in, what would I call that? The camps. The military camps. So they already had all this stuff set up, and, it's like, we're not paying attention. And the military camps, some of them are the worst because, you go back to Wounded Knee and all this other stuff where they're flying this war flag. And most people fly the American flag in their home on their front porch or, they have it hanging on a wall or something like that. That's the war flag. You're committing and saying, I want war on my neighbors. I want war on my friends. Now, there is a peace flag that was done back in 1868. How come people are not flying the peace flag? How come they're not celebrating the real freedom? See, this is a structure that we're all living, and how come we're not teaching the children this? How come we're not teaching the children that they have rights? And that's the one thing, children have rights only by their parents. How come it's not being taught by we the parents? How come we're not taking responsibility and initiative to the children? So these are things that, are real. These are things that we are living right now today that are not fantasy. Everybody wants to say, oh, it's an opiate crisis. Like people say, oh, I'm a drug addict and alcoholic. Well, sorry, if you whine and cry because you're a wimp, you're not strong, you're not feasible, and you're telling the world that, you're not responsible. And that's the same thing when you go to court. You have an attorney. You say you're not responsible. But see, the thing is now I've been going through some conversations with people, and I put it up, and I believe we have it up on the website, the article separation of Article 1 and Article 3 courts. How come you're not learning this? I mean, I'm arguing with people literally on the internet, and I've had a couple arguments with people on the phone or discussions, and it's really disturbing because how come people are not standing up to this? See, that's the frustration, and then you try to educate them. You give them the news. You give them the responsibility. You give them the information, and they don't want the information. See, that's the point, when they have tribunal courts. How come you're not paying attention to what the court is? How come you're not filing when you go to court to know what court it is? And I still got to get some information to some people here. I'll have that out here this afternoon on some further information on jurisdiction of courts. Okay, but see, you have to learn the jurisdiction of court. You have to preach it. You have to know what court you're going in, and you have to put it in writing. You can't go to court and talk to a judge because you're going in and talking to a fantasy. It's like a public employee cannot write an affidavit. A police officer cannot put an affidavit in, period. End of story. A judge cannot. A district attorney, state attorney. I've even got the paperwork we put up with an attorney cannot do this. An attorney cannot even put in an affidavit. And if you want to sign your rights over to another man or woman, in court, and if you sign it to an attorney, you better make sure you got in a contract. If he fails to do his job, you can sue him. You can hold him liable. You can hold his assets, his home. This is the point, is thinking when we do these things or when you do these things. Thinking how you're going to protect your family, how you're going to protect yourself. That's the one thing is thinking about like being, and I hate to say it, almost thinking like an attorney or a judge. But that's how these guys rape, rob, and pillage. And you got to realize they do rape, rob, and pillage. I mean, especially when you got these things called, child care centers. How many men and women or children have been raped? I mean, the children have been raped in these things. And then it's acceptable. And then they want you, to go pray and have forgiveness. But they don't want you to talk about the trauma it caused to that injured child. See, forgiveness comes from that child. Not God, not anybody else, because the child lived it. God didn't live it. The Creator didn't live it. Nobody lived it but that child did. So when you're sitting there and putting these things out there and saying that, a child, you should forgive, or you're convincing a child to forgive, that's like telling these 10-year-old kids today, oh, you could be a male and dress up as a girl, and you could be a girl and dress up as a boy, and we're going to back you up as transgender. Hello, folks. They're 10 years old. Let them get 18 where they can have some decision. But at 10, they have no comprehension of what they are doing. And when these idiots like Kate Brown and these senators are out there doing this and saying we're doing, no, they're doing it to rape, rob, and pillage because it's income. It's money, and it's money especially to religion. It's money especially to churches. And they know it because they know that they're panicking. So if they can keep you confused and a slave. And remember, the 14th Amendment was never passed, never ratified. I've proven that beyond a shadow of a doubt. We have it on the website. Okay, and that's the one thing that you got to realize, that this stuff is real. That's on the website. We ask you to research it. Prove us wrong. If somebody's got something that they can prove me wrong, prove me wrong. Otherwise, don't waste our time. See, that is the one thing that when it comes down to life has value. And I tell people all the time, don't waste my time on this. Don't waste my time on that. And they're like, what do you mean? It's like, life has value. And so when you're wasting people's time in life, that's what we got to stop. Period. That's the one thing. We got things to accomplish. So it's having conversations of how the solutions are. And when the solutions are out there, like one of the solutions that I've put out even for Kate Brown, it's like get off your butt and autograph. And everybody says, well, we need to get her out of office. We need to do this, that, and the other thing. But you lie to the children. You lie to the people because you're not doing it. And it's an affidavit, and anybody who's intelligent enough, who knows the structure of an affidavit and the meaning of affidavits, all right, and getting it into the court with the witnesses. Oh, that's right, witnesses. So if you are a witness, then you can speak up. But if you're not a witness to what's going on, hearsay is not admissible. And so when, like Kate Brown and all these people who are destroying your lives, by passing these administrative rules, like they got another one coming up, like I'm talking on the birth certificate, they got another one coming up on the birth certificate, so that way they can put home visits and come in your home and invade it. So if they smell marijuana, even though it's lawful, if they can figure out a way to take your child, steal your child, put it in human trafficking so your child is raped. Oh, yeah, they want the children raped. They don't want women raped, but they want the children more raped because the children who are raped is money, financial income. Financial income is more important than life to these public employees. That's how they keep their own operations, their own businesses going. I mean, look at Nancy Pelosi. Look at her husband, getting the train contracts and all these other stuff. And people go, well, we don't know how that works. Yes, they do. They lie, cheat, and steal. That's the one thing that we're not out here, being sweet and holding these things back to say that, this is the way we need to be. No. It's bringing out the truth so this way we're not going through this for the next generations. It's like I watch these people on the internet that say, oh, we're a British colony. And I've tried, and it really disturbs me with these morons, because we are not a British colony. I have the facts. I filed the stuff with the Queen, stamped and said we're not a British colony, filed in the Secretary of State. It's filed, in at least Oregon, I know that for a fact, it's filed. The other stuff has been filed across the country, and what do they call that? The federal filing, our federal archives. And this stuff is real that is going on. And so we do have these things that come out. I mean, it's been, I'm going through an interesting deal in my life right now because, I'm in off and on for the last 6 or 7 months. I've been in and out of the hospital, 5 months out of it. So I'm living with things I'm watching things, but I look at it this way. I still got work to do, and I got to kick some ass on these public servants. So do you. And I get really disturbed of all these wham-wham people out there say we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and they basically lie to themselves and they lie to their children. You know, I mean, and it's like the whole thing. It's like our treaties are there to protect us. Our treaties are there to, you know, save our bloodline. And all these people that go off, oh, you know, we need to file and save Israel because Israel is the foundation of the religious structure. Sorry, it's not our responsibility to save a foreign country. You know, if you want to go save Israel, pack up, move over there, go live there. You know, in this country, we got to worry about our children first. We have to worry about the structure that is being designed destroying the future of this country first. And see, this country comes first, not second, not third. We have to come before the rest of the world. Your bloodline in this soil, have to come before the rest of the world. And if that doesn't come before the rest of the world, what's the point of you having children? What's the point of you being in this country? You know, I mean, the one thing, like I said last night and other times I said, you know, I talk to, you know, immigrants that are proud to be in this country, who take on the Constitution and American standards. You know, and that's what they look at, taking on the structure to do what our forefathers said so they become lawful, not legal. They're learning how to put their paperwork together so that way they own their children. So that way it could be filed to protect the bloodline. And that's where we're really at. You know, we really got to do this stuff. This is not a joke that we're living today. You know, it's not a TV program. You know, and I have fun with people on the TV programs and stuff. And it's really interesting because people want to talk about TV or soap operas, you know, or these so-called reality shows that are mind control bullshit. You know, oh, we got to dress up like the Kardashians. They got new purses. They got new makeup line. They got, you know, their structure out there. So we have to jump and follow what they're doing. And it's like, how many people are jumping to this structure who are not paying attention to their bloodline, who are not paying attention to their own children? TV has become more important than life itself. And so that's what we're living right now. Why is that? Circumstances where you're turning on your own children. See, that is the point that we're living. How many people you know that are not paying attention to their children? It's more important to have a TV set going in their house than it is to deal with their children. I mean, when we grew up, most of us grew up when we went out in the street. You know, we used to play in the streets. We played kick the can. There was a lot of things we did that kids don't do today because they're all programmed into computers. Do they know what it is going on in a computer? Yeah, they know a computer, but they don't know life. You know, they know what it's like to be in a fictitious lifestyle, a fictitious life structure, but they sure don't know what life is. And so once we start teaching life, it's like the right to travel. How come everybody's not sitting there putting that out there so we get it? You know, I'm dealing with people right now, people who got affidavits out, and, you know, we're all trying to educate people. But my point to them, how come we're not standing together on this? You know, I don't give a shit about your religious point of view, and I know a lot of people go after me because I don't believe in religion. I don't believe in a structure. Trust me, I know they come after me. But I don't give a damn because I'm not going to live the fantasy, you know, of the tooth fairy. I'm not going to live in the fantasy of Christmas. I'm not going to live in the fantasy of Easter. You know, just prove it. You know, and like I say to people, prove that. Prove the circumstances. Otherwise, we're tired of living in the fantasy. So when it comes down to people whining about drug addicts and stuff like that, now, you know, it's like the old days, turn your back on them. You know, once they want help and they want to get off and they want to go back to learning how their responsibility is, and I've been there with men and women, you know, for the last 40 years that wanted to get off of drug and alcohol, and you bring them back to the point where their happy point was. Then you walk them through the structure when they end up losing that to make it a crutch, so that way they didn't have to deal with life. So the minute they make it a crutch, now you got to start at that point to figure out how it changed, how it became the crutch, so it didn't, it wasn't working for them. And so once you get to that point, now all of a sudden they're not an alcoholic or drug addict and whining because they get it and they walk away from it. Or they become responsible and have a couple of drinks. Been there with these men and women. Seen the changes. Instead of this self-guilt crap, they want to teach you through religion. And that's what it is when you go through these drug and alcohol programs. It's psychological crap. I mean, I got forced in a Dewey. Let me tell you, I'm drinking O'Douls. Anybody knows what O'Douls are? And the cops followed me around. I got kidnapped and held ransom. My blood deal was .02 from O'Douls. And basically, I'm told if I don't go with the program, I will be assassinated. And that's exactly what I was told by public servants. All right, Ed, just shut up, go along with it. So because I wasn't going along with it, they went after me to force me to go along with it, which I did not. I had to pay this fine and go through all this shit, and I made it public. And then when I'm going through the program, it's like, hey, Ed, do you care that we get out here? And it's like, fudgesicles, let's go. We get in, we spend 15 minutes in the program that is set up for an hour and a half. We know it. These people know it's a joke. They know it's a financial gain. They know it's, that's the structure. It's all a damn joke. So when it comes down to that, when are we going to stop doing this, especially to the children? The children are the ones who totally get screwed in these things. How come we're not putting the Constitution in the children? How come we're not putting the Treaty of 1878 in front of these children? How come we're not putting the structure of the Civil War of the administrative rule with the Vatican in front of these children at 8, 9, 10 years old? They can handle it. I've had people that have literally told me, well, Ed, if you go ahead and educate these kids, we're going to call the cops on you. Then they're done it. And people in my own community have done this. And it's like, that's so sick when you got men and women that tell you they don't want their children educated. But they'll put them in these schools, and they'll make sure they get all these shots and stuff. And then when they die from the shots or they have other medical issues, and then you're supposed to sit there and run and help these men and women? I think that's a little crazy when it comes down to it. Because if we're not sitting there and then, with emotions, we have to be realistic. So anyhow, I'm going to open up the floor. Let's see if anybody's got anything to discuss. Like I said, I really wanted to get into the opiate crap because we're living this crap right now. It's all in the mainstream media and the closure of the government. I'm watching all these idiots on talk shows who don't comprehend the reality of the federal government is the British government of the Vatican, that we own them. And as soon as people stop living the religious crap and realize that we own these structure, the lawful bloodline natives, that's why what's going on with Trump with the immigration, and people were whining about the immigration because we're shutting the borders down, we're doing this, we're making sure that people have to prove who they are. And that's the whole point. My goal in all the structure I'm working is so that you have to prove that you're a lawful bloodline native or you're a native. All right? I'm an immigrant. You have to prove who you are. And don't give me this crap, this is a free country crap. In this country, we have a right to know who's in our country. We have a right to know if they're lawful or legal. We have a right to know if they've caused harm to somebody. And if they cause harm to somebody like the Clintons have, they should be executed in that point, what they have done. So when it comes down to it, when are you men and women going to start standing up to these men and women that are destroying this country? And instead of just sitting there going, we can sue them and make money. It's not about suing. It's not about one individual. And if you look up the term individual, it's like a person. Doesn't exist. So anyhow, let me go ahead and open up the floor.
All participants are unmuted.
Wow, nobody's got nothing to say. I guess I ran everybody off, huh?
Ed.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I've been paying attention to what's going on, and like with this furlough thing, they're saying that some of the 80% of the workers will be laid off after 30 days. Which to me that's just great, because they have the attitude as of, hey, maybe I'll show up to work today, maybe I won't. And when they do get there, it's like going to the Social Security office. Anybody's been there, they know they just sit around, chit chat, and then they take their sweet loving time to do anything for you. So they're basically getting paid to screw off.
Right.
And then with the TSA people, I don't see how they're really doing us any better, because I mean, there are still people that are slipping by with weapons, knives, and everything, and then they want to make a big deal about 3 ounces of liquids, which to me, I don't see how they're going to really do anything to stop that. If somebody, the way I see it, if people really want to get something on to do harm to others, they'll get it. There's no way you're going to stop them. They just need to sit and think about it. Plus, also, was it I can't think of the Homeland Security. It's got it up, and right now we have 25 million illegals in the United States. And
actually, it's 64 million, and that's been documented.
Okay, well, according.
Go ahead. I don't mean to throw you off, but you're in the ballpark. But yeah, no, we've got that. But that 25 million is just only what Obama brought in.
Yeah, and already. Now, here's the thing. Trump's asking for $5.7 billion to build the wall. We've already spent on just those 25 million already $14 billion. And as of to date, we've already had, I think, 12 or 14,000 new illegals come across the border. So all we're doing is making it grow and grow. And here we're spending all of our money, the tax money that they're worried about. If they turn around and got rid of all 25 million and stopped supporting them, hey, we got the money for the wall. In fact, we could have whatever wall Trump wanted. We could build it 3 times over, because already it's up to $14 billion.
Well, I think we should build a moat and just fill them with alligators.
Yeah, but no, but it's me being a person that got married to a Thai wife and had to go through all that paperwork to get my family over here legally is actually an insult to me. And to me, I find it very offensive that they turn around and say, oh, well, who cares? We'll take care of them. No, then why the heck did I go through all that, jump through hoops and everything just to get my family here legally when I could have brought them here illegally? I mean, it's ridiculous. And to me, with what Trump is doing, I mean, I don't understand how come more people aren't joining, the Constitutionalist people that are standing on the border trying to protect our borders for us. They're needing more people out there. Plus, they're needing donations and everything so that they can keep those guys out there. And here, nobody's.
The other point is we're actually in gunfire right now on the border.
Oh yeah. Well, he said. I think he said that there was a half an hour to a 45-minute gunfire. Nobody heard on our side, but we're not sure about the other side. But it's almost like a war zone, and it's going to get worse because now there's a new wave coming as we speak.
Yeah.
And again, if you watch the videos, you'll see them carrying their flag, which that's not coming over to assimilate to our culture. That's there to come over and take over. And then if you notice the ones that are here, that's the first thing they say. They don't say, oh yeah, we love America. No, they turn around, Mexico, yeah. And I'm like, you know, that's kind of offensive. If you really love your country that much, then why don't you go fight
Then
for
what
it?
the hell are you coming over here? Exactly. Don't come here. We don't want you.
Yeah, and then there's also a governor of California. He is taking the appropriations that were supposed to be for Americans, and this is really getting me. None of the Californians are saying anything, but he's taking the appropriations for Americans, and he's putting it into healthcare, vision, and dental for the illegals.
Mm-hmm.
And they're one of the highest tax states in our country.
Yep.
So,
no, and I got
mean,
family that live there too, and I just can't believe the crap they put up with.
I know, and it's like, hello, don't you know? Isn't this our country? I know that we're supposed to let people in, but first we need to vet them. I mean, heck, okay, if they want to bring up religion, like you say, if they want to bring up religion, okay, then explain to me, why is the Vatican got all this big wall, huh? Why they got cameras?
How come the Vatican won't let anybody in, but they want us to be invaded?
Oh yeah, they've got the Vatican locked down like Fort Knox. They've got security, they got cameras, they got tall walls, they got security with dogs. I mean, and then hey, the White House, same thing. So what's wrong with getting our border, situated to where they stop coming over so much? I mean, I don't mind helping people, but as long as if I had to go through doing it the right way, to me, I think that everybody should, not just turn around and scoot around.
Yeah, no, I'm on the same page with you on that one. It is really disturbing that we're going through this crap, and I mean, you're living it, I'm living it. This is the one thing we're all living, and it really pisses me off when people play this game. I mean, especially on the border issue. I was talking to somebody earlier, and we were battling back and forth on the internet. And they're like, so we put up a wall, so we're putting up a wall, so we're encaging ourselves. So we're the ones who are being, encaged. And it's like, dude, look around you. We got 48 states. How much food if we start really taking care of and stop logging, stop raping the earth? We can survive. We put up the walls, we got protection. Let the rest of the world fight their battle, because it's not our battle. Why are we funding Jerusalem when what the hell we got to do with that? Because, I mean, I've already had conversations with people going, oh, well, we need to fund Jerusalem because, that's the foundation of Jesus Christ's word. Whose word? Who's Jesus Christ? That's from Jerusalem. That's not American. That's from a foreign country. So we're going to have a foreign country dictate to us how we're going to live in our own country? See, that's what gets to me. It's like you're dictating and having a foreign country dictate to you, and you can't even be intelligent enough to admit when you're wrong. That's the thing that sort of gets to me. And we're living this, Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go finish up.
Who, me?
Yeah, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
Oh, no, that's fine, Ed. But to me, doesn't the Constitution say that we're supposed to be taken care of before they take care of anybody else?
Mm-hmm.
Well, then the Pelosi and them were going to try to scoot out until Trump stopped Pelosi's private plane, going from Brussels to Afghanistan, and now they're trying to say, well, he gave away secret information that would have put our House Speaker in danger.
Well, yeah, they have to do that to justify them speaking out against it.
Yeah, but I mean, come on, who's not going to know that they planned out a commercial flight after that? Mm-hmm. That's what they were doing after it, and then they try to say, well, Trump gave away our secret information. Really? After that you booked a public transportation flight to Brussels and everything. Seriously? And it's all because they don't want to turn around and work with Trump, which to me, I'm like, look, cut all the crap of Republican Democrats.
Right.
Because, Schumer in 2009 admitted that, hey, yeah, anybody who comes over is illegal, and we're not going to put up with it. Now he's singing.
And not only that, he was supporting and did a vote to support building the wall.
Yeah, and now he's singing a different tune because we got a Republican candidate in office, and they don't like him. It's cut the little kitty crap and take care of what it needs to be taken care of. They're acting like they're committing treason, and they should all be filed against right now. But not everybody's jumping on board. I have talked to a lot of people in different places, and they all, some know about it, some are aware about it. There's a woman up in Pennsylvania that's aware of all the laws and stuff like that, but doesn't know what to do and doesn't do anything. She just sits there with her thumbs twiddling it. And then other people that I've gone to, where my mom's over at a nursing home, and they sit there and say, oh yeah, some know about it, others, oh, that's too much for my mind, I can't handle it. And I'm like,
yeah.
It baffles me. I'm like, wait a minute, you're in this country and the laws are too much. I know I don't have a college degree, but dang, it doesn't seem like it's that hard.
Well, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to read this stuff and comprehend it. It's written for a fifth grader, technically, because you got to remember the basic education back in that time was fourth and fifth grade education, as they call it today. You know, and I mean, some of the education back then was a lot more, but what they do today is they call it, you know, that low. But see, most of it today is all programmed and controlled, so that way you don't have rights, and so, you know, it's all mind control. Go ahead.
It just seems like America, if that was written for a fifth grader, then we're really been dumbed down if we can't figure out what the laws actually say. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I can't comprehend that, because we're supposed to be a smarter and more advanced nation now than we were back then. So how the heck are we going backwards instead of forward if we're so smart?
One word.
Yeah, go ahead.
Democrats.
Somebody else was jumping in. Go ahead.
One word. That is how we are going backwards than we were at the beginning of this country. One word is Democrats.
Well, yeah, and then don't forget the liberals, because I had somebody trying to imply that, well, you speak more like a liberal, and I'm like, I don't speak like a title of nobility. I speak like a man. You want to give me a title of nobility, that tells me you're not a free thinker. Does that make sense to everybody? You know, I mean, it's like, you know, and it's interesting, you know, because I mean, like I said, I've been, just in the last 2.5, 3 months, I'm in the hospital again right now. I've been in the hospital, in 3 days will be basically a month. I've been in the hospital for the last 2.5 months, with a heart and lung shutdown and all this stuff. And I have fun with people, especially dealing with the court, because you're trying to get them to understand or comprehend, and I'm using both words, but to understand or comprehend an admiralty court. But the admiralty one court is legislative, that you go in, you got a judge that's pointed out, you're agreeing to his terms, you're agreeing to his acceptance, compared to an Article 3 court. And then I get these people that are whining when they go to these Article 1 courts, and it's like, did you follow your rights when you went in? And they're like, well, what do you mean I have to file my rights? I just go in and talk to the judge. He's going to do what I tell him, basically. I have this right. And it's like, you fools. Because you're walking into a courtroom that you're telling this man to do something, and you never filed anything to retain it. So when you walk in and talk to that man, or you file anything in that courtroom at that time because you didn't file it before you got there and got it certified or notarized, it's hearsay evidence. It's inadmissible. And you agree to that when you walk in the door. See, that's what disturbs me. People agree to this when they walk in the door, don't they? Are they that ignorant they can't see the truth? Because, I do a lot of stuff that, I don't go by religion. And I've had conversations, even just a little while ago with people about conversations with the Constitution, the treaties, all this stuff. And it's like, and then these people want to bring up, Jerusalem and Israel. Screw these people. They invaded this country. They brought a devil's book to tell us and how to live, like telling you how to live. And people are going along with it. That's what just sort of stuns me. how people go along with this stuff. It really is stunning when you really look at what's going on. So, and we do have solutions to these problems. How come we're not solving them? That's the other issue. How come we're not solving these problems? So, that's the whole point. We've got this stuff going on. We're watching these things happen. And what are we doing? It's like the other point, too, and you got that information I sent you on the structure, too, how that the public employees are supposed to be paid in gold and silver and not the de facto money? Hello?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what I'm saying is that when you get this, file it with your county clerks. File it with your public employees. Make sure that they know that this, because see, if we start getting back to gold and silver, and that's what, Trump is saying, and that way, they got a bill right now in the Senate, and if you're not aware, call and support it because they want to audit the Fed. All right, now we get the Fed audited. This is the key point. We get the Fed audited, all right, they're going to panic, number one. They're going to really panic, number one, because they have stolen several $1 billion. Because when you go to these courts, you pay administrative fees, which I don't understand. I don't comprehend how come people are not filing a 1099 form. Because the 1099 form is to file on your public employees that are getting an income. People say use a 1099 form for taxes and to write your stuff off. And then they wonder why they go to jail. Don't they read the form? That's the thing. How come people are not reading these forms? They fill this stuff out and send it in, and then they wonder why they're in jail. Duh. Winston is a good one. Anybody knows Winston, what he's done here in Portland, he had classes teaching people how to get, money, how to file on, their straw man account. Your straw man account, you cannot make an income off of it. Your straw man account was designed for you with the Bankruptcy Act because the British government went bankrupt to we the people. Really, they went bankrupt to we the people. So that means we're supposed to write off our water, our electricity, our food bill, our basic structure. It does not mean you can buy a Mercedes, Lamborghini, a mansion. All these idiots out there telling you could do this, and it's like that's not what it's designed for. It's designed so we have a basic structure that takes care of our basic needs, because when they took the money from the natives and when they claimed bankrupt, that's what House Resolution 192 was all about, to protect us. So we have the tools, we have the knowledge, but when are we going to start doing the knowledge? When are we going to start doing and handling the tools that have been given to us? And that's the point that we have right now. How do we handle the tools that are given to us? So once we handle the tools that are given to us, we can solve this. And that's where everybody's panicking with the Trump wall and immigration. Like you said, actually, like I said, we got 62 million, but 25 million was just in the office of, Obama. 8 years, 25 million. And you figure 8 years he's been in. Now it's been 2 years, basically 2 years out. So you figure 10 years out of 25 million, even 10%, what is that, 2.5 million kids born? And they're illegals, and then they go, oh, well, we shut them out, and then they want you to cry. Oh, Jesus says you can't do this. You can't do that. And no offense to people who are religious, but like I said, who's Jesus? Prove God to me. I'm not going to believe in a fantasy, and I've had that conversation even today with somebody. I'm not going to play that game. I'm not going to do it. That's not what my life's about. I'm not living my life for a fantasy. No one should. So, we are stuck in these things today of what's going on. So, and we do have the solutions to do it. And when these people lie to you, it's like I was watching this morning on Channel 2 when they were talking here in the Channel 2 News, Burdick and the Republican senators, and they're talking about the budget. And I'm watching these men and women literally lie for their own personal gain. Literally lying. And that's what gets to me. They lie, and people buy into this. And they're saying, well, we need to, raise this new carbon tax. Folks, they're charging you to breathe life. Literally. Minimum to start on your income tax and your taxes on your home, minimum is $100 each. A minimum just to start. After 5 years, it's going to $500 million. 10 years, it'll be $1,100 per deal. So basically, you're looking at $2,500 a year to breathe air. That's a real fact we're living right now today. This is not a joke. So when you do this, if you don't file your rights and start making sure your rights are filed, start standing up for your rights and making it known politely, not rudely, you'll be left alone. But if you don't stand up, you're not going to have anything. And they know it, and they don't give a shit. Because remember, they make money off you. They make their living off of you. That's the only way they have a job, and they know it. Rape, rob, and pillage. The Bible says, rape children. Read the Bible. It actually says that you could have sexual relations with a child. And I've already argued that on a couple of people the other day, so I sent them the structure from the Bible, what it says. Type it in on the internet. I'm not going to, I don't have to spiel everything. You do the research. Learn how to do the research. Read it. Prove me wrong. Read on the internet what it says, and then take your Bible out and cross-reference it to the pages. And it says that having sex with a child is okay. That's why they're doing what they're doing right now today in the schools and stuff. But everybody's yelling and screaming. They won't read the Bible. They won't read the stuff. They won't come back to these people and say, hey, your book is wrong. Your structure is wrong. So in other words, I could rape your child. I could have sexual relations with your child. And then see what a man and woman is going to tell you at that point. Let's be realistic. And then a child gets harmed. The trauma they have to live through. And they know it because, like I said, hundreds of times, thousands of times, it creates a job. Now you got counseling. Now you got a priest involved. Now you got, sexual training involved. Now you get the hospitals involved doing drug tests on kids to see if they got a disease. It's all job creation. Destroying the planet by the job. And that's your devil. That's your Bible structure. Oh, we need to have this. It even says in the Bible, your evil structure in the Bible. I know, I've read the damn thing. That's why it's just like, to me, I just can't believe that people interpret it and expect that it's going to happen some fantasy way they think it is. So it is amazing to me. But, I just have to live in amazement. So, but anyhow, anybody else got anything they would like to bring in or speak up? Okay, nothing. You got anything further you'd like to add? Okay. Nobody's got anything to add. Well, then I guess we'll call it a short night tonight. And then we'll get some other educational information. I've got some responses that I will be putting out. You got to realize a little bit, I'm a little slow. I'm still on oxygen and a few other things too. Dealing with what's going on with me. So I am responding. I've got the partial of the human trafficking out to the proper channels. I will be finishing that up here probably tonight. It is about easy 4,000 or 5,000 pages going through all the history, proving human trafficking with the court cases, my court case, a few other things with the House and Senate. So that way they can't run from their own structure, because I was there when these bills were passed. So I know what's going on, and that's the point, that you need to know what's going on and stand up for your children. So if nobody's got anything to add, I'd like to say with that one, may the Great Spirit, Mother Earth bless you, and the Creator look over us. Anybody there?
Yeah, we're here.
Okay.
All right, so closing the show then.
You got it.
All right, well, thank you very much for joining us, and just wanted to make sure Ed had plenty of time to be able to say the extra stuff he wanted to say. So it is Sunday, January 20th, 2019. It is currently 6:08 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you very much, and send out well wishes, heartfelt warms, or even gifts to Ed to get him better so we can keep him around for another 100 years. All right. Thank you very much, everybody, and have a good night.